Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder aboard the beautiful, majestic, awesome, great, and absolutely fantastic Strasbourg. This Dunkerque class battleship in its 1942 configuration sits at rank 6, battle rating 6.7, alone with its sister ship, the Dunkerque herself, and it is the reward of the Radar Hunter event of March 2025. And I love this ship. Now, there are really differences to, first of all, the video on the Dunkerque herself, and obviously differences to the Dunkerque herself, but also changes that have been also made to both ships of the Dunkerque class. And I think while it's not quite there where the class should be, historically speaking, we'll come to this in a moment, I think that the Strasbourg, together with the Dunkerque, thanks to the changes of the shells, now really can play with the big boys. Yes, I know they're 6.7, but you get up tier to 270 most of the time anyway. And the ship still has some issues, still has some flaws, but overall I think that the punchiness is finally there. So I think we get right into it in answering the question, is the ship worth it? Well, yes, absolutely. If you play for it and you get it, get it. Because this is rank 6 for France, so it's a prime talisman candidate. It performs nicely, and there are many battleships that have the same DPM, so nothing's really lost there. We will see better friendships in the future when it comes to raw firepower and maybe also armor. We will see how Gaijin implements it. But this is a good grinding machine for rank 5, rank 6, and maybe soon to arrive rank 7. And therefore it's a great high tier grinding machine. So first of all, let's talk about the armor, and the main belt is 283 millimeters compared to the Dunkerque's 225 millimeters. So that is already a big difference. Also, we have a thicker turtleback of 50 millimeters compared to Dunkerque's 40 millimeters. We have also thicker bulkheads, 228 millimeters compared to Dunkerque's 210 millimeters. The deck above the magazine in the front is 125, and the deck above the machinery is 115 millimeters. That's actually the same armor as in the Dunkerque. We have then thicker barbettes in terms of armor, 340 millimeters, which is not bad compared to Dunkerque's 310. And also the turret faces with 360 millimeters are substantially thicker than Dunkerque's 330 millimeter. So this ship has more armor, and you're gonna need this at high tier. And while it won't save you all the time, you know, every bit helps. And that is great. Now, again, in reality, those ships had split turrets. So they have those quad 330 millimeter guns, which are very iconic and very distinctive. All 8 guns facing forward, which is great for War Thunder meta and so forth. But if one turret gets hit and knocked out, you lose 50% of your firepower, and not if, you know, for example, the shell goes to one side of the turret, then only 2 guns would be defect and you could still use the other half of the turret, including turning it. I've gone into great detail, I think, in the Dunkerque video, and that has still not been implemented. Same goes for the barbette. And we also have to talk about the problem of the turrets facing forward, because your frontal magazine is massive. It's huge, and it's right at the waterline. The belt is thick. You have a turtleback, but still, eventually a shell goes through. And this is where the French also have a distinct, unique setting, namely that they mounted the shell room compared to the shell charge room not on top of each other, but vertically, meaning that actually the first thing that if somebody shoots through your bow hits is the shell room of the front turret, and that causes a quote-unquote minor ammo explosion. And here is something really funky about the mechanics in War Thunder, which makes the ship nearly indestructible from the front. And I know this sounds weird because you lose half your firepower almost immediately. Like, it's like a shell magnet, but you barely lose crew. And when the shells get hit, they get black and disappear, you know, like from the old tank ammo mechanics. And therefore, at the same instance, the charges disappear without exploding. And you lose half your firepower, which is really sad, but then you just stick bow in, and every shell in the game cannot get through the bow, through the barbette ammo elevator, without exploding before hitting the rear magazine. So bow in, you're basically indestructible. This is true that a lot of ships are hard to crack from the front, but eventually one freak shell finds the ammo. In this ship, it didn't happen so far. And this is both good and bad news, if you know what I mean. The secondaries are the kind of nice 130 millimeters. You have 2 twin mounts and 3 quadruple mounts, so the majority of firepower is either 2, 6 or 10 barrels at the enemy, depending on how you angle. If you're facing straight forward, then none of the secondaries can help you. This ship also has a radar compared to the Dunkerque, and the rest of the AA hasn't really been improved all that much. We have 4 37mm twin mounts and a lot of 13.2mm, which are not that effective, but thanks to the rather thick deck, I so far have been relatively safe from bombs and the likes. All that ammo has, or all the armor has led the ship to increase from 35,500 tons on the Dunkerque to 36,800 tons, and the speed is the same at 56 kilometers per hour, which is not all that drastically fast for such a modern ship where you expect at least 60 kilometers per hour, but I'll take it. So now finally let's get to the ammo, and we still have only 2 shell types. The stock round is still the 330mm OEA MLE 1935 HE, which has 885 meters per second muzzle velocity and 66 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge, which results in a high explosive penetration of 74 millimeters. And it's called high explosive fragmentation, but that's what you actually penetrate. And well, that can actually now, with the new mechanics and the new accuracy, lead to cruisers being floodable, more reliable, and I think that's a good change. And then finally, as a tier 1 modification, you now get the 330mm OPF MLE 1935 APCBC round, and that is the huge change. 870 meters per second muzzle velocity, a massive bursting charge, especially for the caliber, of 18.21 kilograms. That is just not quite as much as you get from the ridiculous 12-inch AP on the Kronstadt. But now here it comes. The penetration goes to 621 millimeters at 1,000 meters and 454 millimeters at 10 kilometers. And that is huge, because that puts you just right amongst the best. Yes, ships like the Alaska has similar, the Kronstadt has more penetration at 1,000 meters, and yeah, the Congo has more, but you are well above the Scharnhorst. But at range, this is where, well, you're equal to the Congo, you're a bit better than the Alaska, and only the Kronstadt is better, but that's a ridiculous AP round. But your TNT, you know, you have almost you have actually a bit more than 18 kilograms. Alaska has 7.7, Congo has 11.6, Scharnhorst has 7.2 kilograms. So those shell can hit hard, can punch through, and deliver a massive payload. The fuse delay is only 0.025 seconds, so that results in a not so great effectiveness versus angled battleships. Not because of the penetration and the angled armor, but because you cannot really get into the guts of the enemy ship. Your fuse delay should be at best 0.03 or 0.035 seconds, you know. So overall, this ship is a really good performer. It's surprisingly difficult to sink, as you have seen in my previous video with the HMS Warspite, where I peppered an enemy Dunkerque for a long time and just couldn't destroy it. So I think that this is a ship that can stay in the fight for a very long time. The 30 seconds reload are not great. If it would be 20-25 seconds, you know, I could work better, and the DPM then goes from 16 rounds, which is not really all that great, down to 8. And this is really what holds this ship back so much. And despite its speed, radar, AA, armor, survivability, you know, kind of justifies a battle rating of 6.7. And this is when I clutched this game. So I really like this ship. I think people can absolutely specialize with this. If you find a spot where you can hide behind some sort of obstacle, then this is an absolute legend. It's a very unique playstyle, and I like it. And it is such a much improved experience compared to the Dunkerque. Well, I think I have to do a full fleshed out review. That's it for me today, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, give it, subscribe if you want to see more. And as usual, we will see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.